So, could you explain to our listeners what scenario planning is?
Yeah, so in its simple terms, it's all about thinking about the future and multiple futures. So it's not thinking about one future and trying to predict that future. That's forecasting. What scenario planning is it's saying, look, the world can play out in different ways. We could see a situation where um, you know, situation A plays out, I don't know, energy transition is accelerated and we're all getting our power from renewables, or scenario C or B, which is actually oil and gas is going to prevail over the long term and we're going to continue to use the internal combustion engine and electric vehicles will be, marginalized or something in between. So it's about painting those different futures to say A, B, and C could play out. What would we do in each of those situations? And so it's a more thoughtful approach to thinking about the future. Because if there's anything that I've learned, we all do a terrible job of predicting what might happen, given COVID, right? None of us saw it coming. And here we are a year and a half later still dealing with it.
Yeah, because a lot of pundits were saying, even would be out of this by June, July 2020. And here we are in June 2021, and it's still playing out. So, are you doing any strategy planning for organisations in terms of a post-pandemic world, scenario planning for them?
I am, yeah. And I think, Jeff, now's a good time for a lot of organizations and governments, so like private sector organizations and governments, to say, okay, what next? I think we're at a stage now, certainly in the more developed world, where we're starting to emerge. I mean, I look at, you know, my colleagues south of the border here in Canada, the US, and we're seeing, sports games with 50,000 people. Like, things are returning to normal. And it sounds like in Australia, for example, and New Zealand, like largely life is getting back to normal and people are getting vaccinated, certainly here in Canada as well. And so what more, I think that now's a perfect time to say, okay, that was a really terrible year and a half that we've all dealt with. Like, where to from here? What does the future look like? And I think we can expect as professionals that there's going to be more uncertainty as we go forward. We don't know what the next major global catastrophe is going to be, but like history is a great predictor of the future. There's going to be something in that we least expect. And success is companies preparing for that in a thoughtful way.